Well, it's set to take place tomorrow and today at the Joburg Theatre, the Mayibuye iAfrika concert. It's not only honouring 30 years of South Africa's democracy, but it's also showcasing Africa's diverse musical heritage and paying special tribute to African freedom songs and their composers. Joining the lineup is the renowned Olufemi Femi Koya, known for his rich blend of West and South African nostalgic afrobeat sounds. Femi's energetic performances and unique musical style promise to be a special treat alongside a lineup of amazing musicians. Ringo, Hotstix Mabuse, the Mahotella Queens, Hope, Masike, Simphiwe Dana, Siphokazi, just to name a few. And Olufemi happens to join us in studio this morning. What a pleasure. Thank you so much for visiting us this morning.
Thank you for having me this morning here.
So, I mean, being a part of an Africa Day concert and a lineup like that must mean quite a bit to you.
It's, well, I would say it's a privilege, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to, express one's, Africanism.
And certainly because your music, I mean, it's often been described as a combination of Afrobeat, of jazz, of gospel, of blues, and that West African kind of nostalgic high life.
Yes.
Is that one way of describing it?
Well, that's one way of describing it.
Yeah.
And another way of describing it is just saying, just being yourself as an African, because the sound just comes out automatically from you.
Yeah.
It's about your experience, about where you're from, and also what you've been exposed to. So the sound just automatically comes out.
What inspires you?
Oof, that's a lot, eh? But one of the very most important thing that inspires me is me considering where Africa has been and where we are right now, and the thoughts of where we could be tomorrow. So that inspires me, and everything about Africa, for me, it's an inspiration.
Yeah, I suppose there is so much to describe in it, but I mean, a lot of people at this stage are being asked this question: what is it like to be an African? What makes you proud to be an African? Perhaps you want to maybe give us your feeling on this.
Well, my feeling about that is that being an African, it's something we all ought to be proud about, because like you hear about this thing where people talk about like going back to my roots. Everybody in the world wants to go back to their root, and where's the root? It's Africa. Africa is the place, and Africa is the future. So for me, Africa being homeland and being my life generally. So it's, for me, that's what it is. Being,
But talk to us a little bit about your journey.
Okay, so born in Nigeria, and I didn't think I was going to be a musician, As time goes by, music just arrested me, and there was me seeing somebody playing the trumpet, and I was like, this is like really fascinating. I tried to play, and from there, I moved into playing. So it took me immediately, and I couldn't do anything else. And I think one of the most beautiful things is the traditional instruments that we have. That also captures me. Like we talk about the choking drum, we talk about the shekere alaje, mbira, the kora. These instruments are fascinating. Although I'm a saxophone player, and I do dive into some of this, instruments as well, and it's an inspirational thing. It
is, and it's such a unique sound, and a sound that captures so many different ears and sounds around the world. And have you found that, though? I mean, the spread of African sounding music, I mean, especially the kind of instruments that you use. Obviously, your traditional saxophone, which is well known, but blending it with different instruments. How is it taken up by the world?
Yeah, well, I think, the world is fascinated with, African instrument, because most of this instrument has been played from the heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way these instruments are being interpreted, and also it's been transferred from generation to generation. And there's a thing about it. We take, for example, the shekere. In Yoruba, in the Yoruba culture, shekere. There's a saying that says shekere okinre ude ibanuje, where it means that the shekere is always played in a celebratory mood, and it's been played for things like celebration, especially when you need to, put in a new king, to enthrone a new king. Shekere is the is the major instrument that's been used.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think of it coming from the noisy streets of Lagos, Nigeria, that must be, and I often think about that. It must be incredibly hard with such a massive population to make your mark in any way.
It is.
Where was that big break? Where did it come for you?
Well, I'm not sure I have that big break yet. I'm still waiting for it.
I don't think so. I think the fact that you're sitting here and you're performing on massive stages and making your country very, very proud, and being here in South Africa and making us proud and the continent, I'd say you've done pretty damn well.
I think the thing for me is the idea of being able to go through. You just mentioned the population in Nigeria. If you're able to cut through as a musician, that means you've done so well.
Sure, it's huge.
And think about it, just being a saxophonist, there's about hundreds of thousands of people who, well, not to exaggerate, but there's a lot of people who are playing the saxophone there, or in whatever kind of job that you're doing. There's so many people that are competing for the same space. So it takes us, well, let me say, it takes a special grace for you to be able to cut through.
It really does. Yeah. I remember standing in Nigeria and in Lagos and thinking to myself, how do you stand out in this crowd? You know, there's so many people, and yet you can and you have, and it's such a beautiful story of being able to do this. So you bring all of this. You're now standing on a beautiful stage.
Yes.
Are there tickets available? That's what people always want to.
Tickets are available. You better go get your ticket.
They are available. Because every time I sit here and someone says to me, no, sorry, all gone, you break hearts of everyone that's watching.
No,
so
we want everybody
to
be. We want everybody to be at this festival. So you got to get your tickets. It's going to be beautiful.
That's going to be fantastic. So,
and by the way, I'm going to be arranging one fella's song as well, as well as my original songs as well. So it's going to be amazing. You got to be there.
Oh, it's going to be brilliant. I can't wait. So this is happening. It's happening tonight. It's also happening tomorrow night as well, which is Africa Day. It's called the Mayibuye iAfrika concert. That's what it's called, the full name. So Nigerian afrobeat musician Olufemi Koya speaking to us about this Mayibuye iAfrika concert, and it's taking place this weekend at the esteemed Joburg Theatre. And really, tickets are available. Look at that lineup. If looking at it is not good enough, you better stay tuned, because we've got the one and only Olufemi playing us out this morning here on Morning Live to give you a taste of what to expect. So do stay with us. We've got more for you after the break.